Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Muslim Talks. Today we're joined by Syed Abbas, Syed Shah. We've already introduced him in our first podcast. We hope you enjoyed that video. My name is Latif Akeel and joining us today is Hadi Rahimi. Hadi Rahimi is a social worker, but we'll get him to introduce himself before us right now, please. Assalamu alaikum, Hadi.
Wa alaikum assalam. Salam alaikum. My name is Hadi Rahimi and I'm a social worker in the community. I've got a couple of roles in the community, but the one that I get mostly recognized by is my workshop, the workshops that I deliver in the community. I get invited to so many locally based organizations and schools to deliver leadership, project management, and some of the workshops for diverse youth. So that's the area of my expertise.
Now, the diverse youth, just to clarify, it's not just limited to Muslims, you do it for all youth.
I'll do it across the spectrum for everyone. Yeah,
that's a beautiful thing.
That's beautiful.
So when you say you deliver to schools and school programs, I've always had this idea of delivering Islamic, or just an idea of a general description of what Islam is and some of its principles into the public school sector. Is there a way that you've got experience with delivering messages to school, or delivering speeches to school? Is there a way that you can see this happening in the future? A way that we can enter the public school sector, just give a 5-minute presentation, what it means to be a Muslim, or something of that sort?
Yeah, from my experience, I've sensed from the schools there's a willingness and a curiosity that they want to know more about like the general population. So when they invite, especially us who have some lived experience of being a refugee and growing up with not having like all the privileges that we had, it gives you a sense of warmth that yes, there is something that these guys can we can do with this school or with this community. So yes, it is doable. And normally in my talks, I do share that I'm a Muslim. And I practice, Islam, and in my talks, that's part of one of the components of my talk.
That's
so
really
I include that. Yeah.
Hadi, I have a friend. He's doing youth work, and he told me that a lot of Islamic rules, Islamic teachings, are part of youth work. So, for example, not hugging and like opposite sex and this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Is it really true?
Yes. Based on my experience, people who actually know me and know how I greet people and how I present myself in the settings, they always know that there are certain boundaries that they have to maintain every time they approach me. So whether that's me, let's say from an opposite gender, I don't shake hands, we don't hug, we don't do any of that. They know that I'm a Muslim, I don't do that. A lot of times another thing that they consider is my dietary requirements. So I always have a halal meal that is separately allocated just for me or people who are from Muslim background.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So kind of, because you work with diverse youth with different nationalities, different like both genders, male, female, and all genders. Did you ever find it hard to tell someone that, sorry, I don't shake hands? So for example, if a girl approaches you and says, Assalamu alaikum, or not Assalamu alaikum, hi Hadi, how are you? And she wants to shake hand.
Yeah.
Is it really hard to oppose and say, sorry, I don't shake hand? Or how do you actually face this situation?
It's that moment is quite a turbulent moment because you're in a position and someone is actually already halfway and they extended their arm to shake your hand. A lot of times when I look at them and I see sort of like a genuine willingness to say, hey, we want to shake hands, due to the embarrassment that we are sort of like in a board meeting and someone has extended their arm, I try to be considerate of like, hey, because this is the CEO of this organization has extended their arm. Out of my own guilt, I do it. But like a lot of my other settings, I'm quite strict and I'm quite open to the idea, hey, there are some boundaries that we have to maintain every time we meet, and they know that. So yeah.
Yeah, it actually, it's very common thing, and yeah, Latif has experienced a few times, and he
Yeah.
shared the stories with me.
With me, I like. So for uni, during prac, the supervisor came. And she was very proud of my performance, and so she reached out. Now this is the lady that tells me if I pass or fail, and so she reached out wanting to shake my hand, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, I don't shake hands. And usually it's just they kind of get embarrassed, like, oh, I'm sorry, this is your personal boundary. Common thing in the West is that this is my bubble, this is my body, this is my thing. So that kind of works with us. But she was shocked. She's like, oh, how come? Why don't you shake? I was like, religious reasons. And then she's like, really? What are these religious reasons? And it opened the door of conversation for me. Like, also at work, I'm like the sales manager for a family business of ours. And I have a lot of, like, when I go to try to convince a shop to open, often they'd reach out to shake their hands, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, I can't. But for me, I built this resilience that, look, I don't care who you are. In the beginning, it's a struggle. In the beginning, it's a struggle. That pressure, like you said, they're already halfway. And it's just a matter of, like, that guilt that you have. But I found myself after a while, I'm just like, you get used to it. And then at the end, it's no longer you're embarrassed. It's now they begin to feel embarrassed that, I can't believe I reached out to him. I should have known. You know. But this sort of thing, it goes back to how you said, now part of your dietary requirement, they have a halal menu separate just for you. They understand. Usually the opposite gender, when they see, they understand that, Hadi doesn't shake hands. We know these boundaries. And that's something I always tell the shabab, to tell the youth, look, follow the Islamic laws, because you set the boundaries for someone else.
That's right.
You know?
I remember actually yesterday, or day before yesterday, Syed called me and he said, Abbas bhai, brother, I was sitting in your office, and there was this lady, she approached me and said, do you take pictures? And I said, yes. And then she said, nice work. And she tried to shake hand. I did not shake hand. And she said, are you Syed's friend? I said, yes, I'm Syed's friend. So, okay, that's all right. I understand now.
So it's nice because it sets that boundary for someone else.
Yeah, because there was this girl, she wanted to shake hand with me in public, and I didn't shake hand. I just put my hand on my chest and I bowed a bit in that respect, and she was getting red. But then my friends, they jumped in and they said, okay, he doesn't shake hand. But later on, I approached her. I said, look, it's nothing wrong with you. It is just it's just the boundaries we have to stay in. I talk to you and you talk to me. It is totally fine. But then even in discussion, as we have the boundaries, we cannot touch physically.
There's things that we can't cross.
And then Corona, subhanallah, has solved the issue. Remember, I'm writing an article on Corona. I told this girl, said, look, why are you not shaking hand with me while I have Corona? While there's a Corona, she said, because there is a risk of virus to go in me. I said, okay, can you see the virus? I said, no. Are you sure that I have the virus? No. I said, it means there's a risk. Yes. I said, similarly, when I shake hand with you, there is a virus for my soul. Even though I don't see that virus, but there's a probability that that virus will transfer in me. It's not wrong with you, it's wrong with me maybe. But it transfers in me and contaminates and spoils my soul and changes me to a bad person or something, or I may have a bad feeling about you. So it's better to stay away as you are staying away now in the Corona. So subhanallah, thanks to Corona as well.
It reminded me of the ayah from the Holy Quran. It's one of my favorite ayahs in the Quran. It says, الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَى أَنفُسِهِمْ, the ones that have traveled against themselves through performing sins. But yeah, like that soul aspect, it's usually forgotten. Body and soul. As people don't realize that sins, it has an effect on us.
That's right.
You know, even like our emotional state. You don't like when you do something that's a sinful act. There's a guilt automatic with it. But when you do an act of charity, there's happiness automatically set with it as well. You know, so that's a part of the soul. You know, I remember one of the schools we had a online during like the pandemic peak of it, when we couldn't do the 12 programs in person, we did it online. One of the scholars said that the cells in the body change every 7 years. So your body's not actually the same. And obviously, you look at your child's picture of you when you're a child and look at you right now. I'm a bit hairier than I was when I was a child. But your soul still remains the same. Your personality still remains the same.
I'm less hairier. I lost the hair. Yeah, no, actually, that is very true.
Yeah.
Or youth, they need to take the initiatives. They know the stuff, but they're scared.
Yeah.
And I felt that a lot of people they are shy,
Yeah.
or they have a kind of embarrassment, I think, because they are so much into this Western culture that they think this is right thing, and they are trying to translate Islam into the Western culture.
Yeah.
Like they are trying to find the loopholes.
Yeah.
But they should be proud that Alhamdulillah we have a set of rules which is the best rules.
That's true.
And after hundreds of years of experiments, world comes to the point where Islam is already
That's true.
yeah. So this is just, I think our youth needs to be very strong. They
No,
need to say
I couldn't agree more. There's evidently I've seen with the youth there's a sense of like uncomfort and like an uncertainty that sits with them. They're like, if I express myself fully, if I'm like being a Muslim and I'm practicing my religion and doing the things that I'm supposed to do, I will be I'm not going to be like considered that person in the Western community. So for them it requires like a huge sense of like empowerment and self-esteem to open up and say, hey, I'm a Muslim.
So it's an identity issue.
Yeah.
I can imagine, because like especially in Australia, we have like all the, most of us, all of us will come from a migrant background. My parents came here as refugees. You said you came here as a refugee. You came as an international student. So we have our different cultures, and the ones that grew up in Australia, they have the issue where commonly they ask, where you from? Yeah. So, like I remember I spoke to a few friends of mine. It's like, wait, this question of where you're from, they don't really understand that. And when you ask us where you're from, it's it can come from two ways. Either you're very curious, like obviously you got a beard on you, you look a bit different, you look a lot different, you look Arab, but which part of the Arabian Peninsula are you from? That's what they're trying to figure out. But then the one that we're usually approachable personally, that when they ask me where you're from, it's because they say you don't belong here. Where you from, man? And then go back to where you're coming from. That it doesn't happen as much now, alhamdulillah. But they have an issue now because they begin to say, where am I from? Example for myself, when I go to Iraq, they'll say, where are you from? I'm like, I'm Iraqi. I know, but you look a bit different. It's like, okay, I grew up in the West. It's like, that's why you can tell. And then you come here, where are you from? I'm Australian. Yeah, you look different. I'm Iraqi as well. So, but alhamdulillah, when it comes to, when you realize the Muslim identity is stronger than any cultural identity. And I'm a Muslim, I'm a follower of the Ahlul Bayt, whatever your pathway is, be proud of it.
100%.
And subhanallah, the teachings of Ahlul Bayt is so complete that I don't know why people they are shy. Like look, Ahlul Bayt says serve humanity. People are saying serve humanity. I saw a post of a boy, Muslim guy, he says humanity is above all religions, and I felt that this guy is really dumb. Like Islam is completely humanity. And what does it mean humanity is above all? Who sets the rule of humanity? Who sets it? No one. Islam set the rules of humanity and says humanity is above all religion. And second thing, it's what my dream, what I want to see in youth, and what I want to see in myself, because I'm youth as well. I'm not that old yet. But we are trying to influence we are trying to set into the society by adopting the society. Instead of adopting the good behaviors, instead of adopting the knowledge or filling ourselves with the knowledge and with the talent. So society needs us. We need to get to that level, and everyone can. We are alhamdulillah are mature enough, and we have all the opportunities. So we need to use that opportunities to improve the world, and then the world would need us, and then we can say proudly that we are Muslims, alhamdulillah. We don't need to say, oh, I think I'm not agree with this rule of Islam because this doesn't set in society and it was capable before but it is not now. Like this kind of stuff we hear a lot.
It comes very common.
But then once if we fill up, like it's like a drum. So most of the youth are like drum at the moment. We're empty from the bottom and they just make a lot of noise. They need to fill it up. You don't need to make the noise. The world will tell your achievement. That's what I want to see in you. To utilize the resources you have now and be proud on what you are.
And I think one of the things that you can do when we talk about youth is to starting the things with yourself first. Making sure that you are well informed, well knowledgeable, well intellectual, and surround yourself with people who share the same thinking. and then gradually, as you travel with life and everything, with experiences, you can tell that there's a difference that you would see with the same person years ago, starting off on the same journey, and now you're seeing them a whole different scholar in a sense. You see them a whole different personality. For them, I think the most important thing that we can do is to start with yourself and try to empower everyone else around you. So like surrounding people, you have to like empower them, get them together and work collectively to work on a vision. I think that's what I always try to like focus on with my life.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. There's two ideologies. One is called ijtamaiyat, like for everyone, and one is called individualism, for yourself. And both are important, but at our level, we need to focus more on individual self. If you recognize yourself, you have recognized your creator.
That's right.
And I know this scientist, he's from Pakistan, he's in Canada at the moment. He's Syed, I forgot his full name, Abbas Syed. And he is the only scientist in the world who connected the microchip or I forgot the name of the chip, with the brain.
Right.
So it's like the very big achievement, and he got so many awards, and he got some awards in Canada as well. He's like very well known person in Canada and Pakistan as well. He's Canadian. And I was listening to his interview. It was one-on-one interview, and he said in the interview that we need to stick to the teaching of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam.
That's beautiful.
If you read about the life of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, you would know that the world hasn't achieved anything yet. There's so much to discover.
There's so much to discover, that's right.
And he's actually at the moment compiling a book, I think, on Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, if I'm not wrong. And that is true. Like Imam Ali alayhi salam, he said that, about the ear, that you don't hear from here. There's 3 bones inside, and they vibrate, and that's you hear from Najib Bilal 1400 years ago. And look, the world is now finding this thing out.
That's right.
So alhamdulillah, we have so much, but we don't have the knowledge. That's why our iman is weak. We need to increase our knowledge, and then alhamdulillah, the world is for us. It's a space we have to serve the humanity with the knowledge and with the teaching Islam has given to us. Because if you save one human life, you save the whole humanity. Islam teaches humanity.
That's beautiful. Hadi John, it's the end of the video. What piece of advice do you give to the youth, especially with your experience?
I just want them to be bold and be confident. Do the things that is the right things. Like, don't sort of deviate from the path of like righteousness. Hold on to your faith. Be resistance in the face of like challenges. Stay firm and hold on to your belief.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. Inshallah, you've enjoyed it. We've enjoyed having the conversation. We're actually going to continue the conversation outside the camera. It's really beautiful. Please share any comments you have down below. Spread it with your family and friends. If you've benefited from anything, do let us know. And do not forget us in your du'as, please. Walhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.